This is Parque Lage, a beautiful park in Rio de Janeiro, and also the starting point for the hike up to Cristo. When I was in Rio back in 2014, I took a tour bus up, so this time I wanted to hike up. The hike is steep, and there were even parts where you had to climb up these thin metal steps. After about 2 hours, I finally saw Cristo. It's crowded as usual, and there were even mats for you to lay down to take photos from a better angle. And here's a view of Rio. Next up, I walked through a favela to get to the starting point for the Two Brothers mountain hike. It was relatively easy and crowded at the top. People were even abseiling. Another day, another hike. This time, a day trip out of Rio to the famous Pedra do Telegrafo. You might have seen photos of people hanging off a rock. It's all an illusion. I was lucky there wasn't anyone there, so I had lots of time for many photos. The clouds were very dark though. A queue started forming as I was leaving. Back to Rio. I went to the famous, vibrant Lapa steps again. And here are some random kids coming up to me. There's also a hippie market near the Ipanema beach, which honestly looks just like any other craft market, so I'm not sure why it's called a hippie market. So I was there in February and it was carnival season. The carnival had different parts. This was a block party or a street party. Then there's the family-friendly party with kids around. And the adults-only party, if you know what I mean. And finally, the main parade where different samba schools and floats vie for the championship title. The crowd was electrifying. After about a week in Rio, I went to Parachi, a cute colonial town with cobblestone streets and colorful buildings. Now, Brazil was the start of my year-long trip in South America, so at this point, colorful colonial towns were great. There were even horse-drawn carriages here. But after a year of this, I bet you are gonna get sick of it too. The Parachi region is famous for cachaça, Brazil's national spirit. So I went on a tour to a distillery. The tour brought me through a forest to a beautiful waterfall where I got to soak in it. Then later we went to this cool water rock slide thingy where people were just sliding down. So of course I had to give it a try. It was awesome. Next, I went back to Curitiba where I spent 5 weeks in 2014. I walked down my favorite street, met some friends and watched a football match. Then, I went to Porto Alegre, a city in southern Brazil. I saw a few buildings and walked around. There's nothing much here for tourists. The main reason I went there is to take a bus to Gramado. Now, Gramado is a mountain resort town which feels as if it's built for tourists. Everywhere is photogenic, colorful, and just something out of a fairy tale. The town has a Bavarian feel with alpine chalets, chocolatiers, and artisan shops. It's relatively unknown to international tourists, but very popular with Brazilians during the holidays. There's also a beautiful lake with paddle boat rentals. And here's a swan with swan boats. As mentioned earlier, I did a one-year trip around South America. I started in Brazil, visited every country, and ended in Brazil. Here's a highlight of the places I went to. I spent a couple of days at São Luís, another colorful colonial town. But the real reason was to visit the nearby attraction. It was a journey to get there. Lençóis Maranhenses looks amazing in photos, but very disappointing in real life in the off-season. So if you want to go to Lençóis, go during the peak season. Then I had a quick stop at Recife, break up the journey, and to take a day trip to Olinda, another colorful colonial UNESCO town. I noticed it was carnival season there, so it had been almost 1 year for me. Next up was Salvador, once again another colorful colonial city with a grittier feel. At this point, all colorful UNESCO towns look the same to me. Since I was in the state of Bahia, I visited Chapada Diamantina National Park. Which was pretty nice with all these ancient rock formations and clear blue waters. And these tabletop mountains at Pai Inácio in the national park. Look how tan I was after 1 year. Then I visited the Fumaça waterfalls. Fumaça means smoke because the wind blows the water droplets upwards before they reach the ground, so it looks like smoke. Pretty cool, eh? It's also one of the highest waterfalls in Brazil. Then I spent a couple of days at Brasilia, the capital of Brazil, before making my way to Sao Paulo and flying home from there.